The preemptive strike. Admiral Harlan Voss stood on the observation deck of the TFS Indomitable, the flagship of the Terran's 7th Fleet, and stared at the holographic star map that filled the chamber like a frozen explosion of light. The map showed the Epsilon Eridani system, officially neutral territory claimed by the Vari Concordance, a loose alliance of 7 xeno-species who had spent the last century politely reminding humanity that expansion beyond the Orion Arm was inadvisable. Voss hated polite reminders. Intel confirms it, Captain Mara Ruiz said, her voice tight. The Vari have parked a full battle fleet at Station Omicron 9. That's 12 dreadnoughts, 30 cruisers, and enough troop transports to glass every colony world from here to Proxima. They're not here for a parade, Admiral. Voss didn't turn. And the other signatories? Counterattack Swarm, Silicoid Hegemony, the whole damn concordance. They're calling it a joint peacekeeping exercise. Ruiz's lip curled. They're waiting for us to blink. Voss finally looked at her. 42 years old, scar across his left cheek from the Battle of Tau Ceti, eyes the color of spent uranium. He had risen through the ranks the old-fashioned way, by winning wars everyone said were unwinnable. Then we don't blink, he said. We burn. The order went out at 3:17 ship time. 36 hours later, the Indomitable and her battle group, for super dreadnoughts, 8 fleet carriers, and 200 escorts, translated out of warp inside the heliopause of Omicron 9. The Vari fleet was still forming up, arrogant in their perfect geometric formation. Voss didn't give them time to react. Fire Plan Alpha, he said quietly. The first volley of relativistic kill vehicles, nicknamed RKV Angels, left the tubes at 0.92 C. They arrived before the Vari sensors even registered the human ship's presence. 12 dreadnoughts simply ceased to exist, turned into expanding clouds of plasma and radioactive shrapnel. The second wave was kinetic slugs the size of skyscrapers, accelerated to 0.4 C by the Indomitable's spinal rail cannon. Station Omicron 9 vanished in a flash bright enough to be seen from Earth with the naked eye. By the time the Vari managed to return fire, half their fleet was already debris. Voss watched the tactical display with the calm of a man who had just balanced his checkbook. Casualties? He asked. 0, Ruiz reported, voice shaking with adrenaline. They never got a shot off. Voss allowed himself the ghost of a smile. Send the standard surrender demand. Tell them the next time they park an invasion fleet in human-claimed space, we'll do this again, only closer to their homeworlds. The reply came 3 hours later, broadcast on every frequency, in perfect galactic common, voiced by the Vari High Executor herself. The message was short. It was also the last polite thing the galaxy would ever say to humanity. Congratulations, Admiral Voss. You just started a war you cannot survive. Then the stars went dark. Every beacon, every relay, every subspace channel humanity used to talk to itself, gone. The Concordance had thrown the biggest electronic warfare blanket in recorded history over the entire Orion Arm. And somewhere out there, something vast was waking up. Voss stood alone in his ready room, the holographic display now showing nothing but static. For the first time in his career, he felt something cold crawl up his spine. He opened a private channel to Earth. Give me the president, he said, and wake up every reserve we've got. I think I just pissed off the entire neighborhood. On the other side of the galaxy, in a chamber carved from a neutron star's core, the representatives of the 12 greatest powers in the Milky Way gathered. Not 7 anymore. 12. The counterattack swarm mother clicked her mandibles. The humans have shown their teeth. The silicoid crystalline speaker pulsed. They have also shown their ignorance. The Vari High Executor, still beautiful in her rage, laid a single data crystal on the obsidian table. It contained the full sensor logs from Omicron 9. They are primitives, she said, but primitives with weapons that can kill gods. We must end this before they learn what else they are capable of. The chamber lights dimmed as the 12th representative finally spoke, a being that had no name humanity would ever pronounce, only a designation, the curators. War, it said, in a voice like grinding continents, is authorized. Total. No quarter. No surrender. The human species is to be reduced to a cautionary tale. The vote was unanimous. Somewhere in the dark between stars, fleets that had never been seen by human eyes began to move. Back on the Indomitable, Admiral Voss stared at the dead comms panel and spoke to no one in particular. Well, he muttered, fuck. The fall of the first line. The first month was the worst. Not because of the losses, though those were apocalyptic, but because of the silence. Humanity had always assumed it was alone in being alone, that the galaxy was too big, too empty, for anyone to coordinate at this scale. The Concordance proved them wrong in the most brutal way possible. They hit the outer colonies first. Not with fleets. Those were still forming up, but with weapons humanity had no defense against. Phase-shifting missiles that passed through shields like ghosts and detonated inside hulls. Gravitic warheads that turned cruisers into pretzels. And the worst, the silence. A weapon that didn't kill ships. It killed hope. Every human colony within 50 light years of the front went dark. No distress calls. No final messages. Just nothing. The Indomitable fought her way back to Seoul with what was left of the 7th Fleet, down to 12 ships from 43. Voss stood on the bridge the entire way, refusing to sleep, watching the casualty counters climb. When they finally limped into Earth orbit, the planet was already mobilizing. Every factory on Earth, Luna, and Mars was running 24/7. The old shipyards at L4 and L5 were spitting out drone carriers faster than anyone thought possible. The asteroid belt had been turned into a minefield of automated railgun platforms. And the people, God, the people, they weren't afraid. They were angry. Voss met with the president in the underground bunker beneath Cheyenne Mountain. The man looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. Admiral, the president said, you started this. You will finish it, or we will all die trying. Voss didn't argue. The Concordance arrived in force 6 weeks later. Not one fleet. Not 10. Hundreds. The combined armada numbered over 50,000 capital ships. The kind of numbers that made military analysts weep. They came in perfect formation, a wall of death that blotted out the stars. The Battle of the Oort cloud lasted 4 days. Humanity lost. The drone swarms bought time. The railgun platforms bought minutes. The suicide runs by the last of the 7th Fleet bought seconds. When the Concordance broke through, Earth was naked. The first orbital bombardment began at dawn. Cities burned. Continents shook. The sky turned red. But something strange happened. The humans didn't break. They adapted. In the ruins of New York, a 19-year-old hacker named Jia Lin figured out how to hijack Concordance comms using nothing but a salvaged Vayari relay and a laptop. She broadcast the first human counterpropaganda. Footage of children playing in bomb craters, families sharing their last rations, soldiers holding the line with rifles older than their grandparents. The message was simple. You want a war? We've been training for this since we climbed down from the trees. The aliens didn't understand the reference. They would. The human advantage. The turning point came in the ruins of the Martian shipyards. The Concordance had expected the humans to fight with ships and guns. They had not expected biology. Dr. Elena Petrova, a xenobiologist who had spent her career studying the few alien samples humanity possessed, made the discovery that saved the species. The Vayari, the counterattack, the silicoids, all of them shared one common weakness. They had never evolved to handle chaos. Their societies were rigid. Their biology was optimized for efficiency, not resilience. Their immune systems had never encountered the sheer mutational frenzy of Earth's biosphere. So humanity weaponized it. They called it Project Pandora. Every ship, every colony, every resistant cell was given a simple instruction. Collect samples of the nastiest Earth pathogens you can find. Weaponize them. Deliver them. Smallpox, Ebola, the 1918 flu, antibiotic-resistant superbugs, and for the truly vindictive, rabies. They delivered them via stealth drones, via captured alien shuttles, via suicide volunteers who walked into enemy camps with infected blood in their veins. The effect was biblical. The Vayari fleet orbiting Earth began to die first. Their perfect formations fell apart as crews convulsed in their stations. The counterattack swarm mother herself succumbed to a hemorrhagic fever that turned her insides to soup. The silicoids were immune to viruses until the humans started dusting their ships with weaponized prion. Crystal brains melted into goo. The Concordance did the only thing they could. They retreated, not in defeat, in horror. They had come to exterminate a species they thought was primitive. They discovered the primitives were the apex predators of a death world. the last message. 1 year after the first shot was fired at Omicron 9, Admiral Harlan Voss stood on the bridge of a new flagship, the TFS Retribution. The war wasn't over. Not yet. But the Concordance was broken. Their fleets were shattered. Their homeworlds were under siege by human privateers who had learned to love the dark between stars. Their leaders were either dead or in hiding. Voss opened a channel to the last remaining Concordance flagship, the Eternal Light, now a crippled hulk limping toward the galactic core. The Vayari High Executor appeared on screen. She was dying. The plague had taken her beauty, but not her dignity. "Admiral Voss," she said, voice rasping. "You have won. Congratulations." Voss looked at her for a long moment. "No," he said quietly. "We haven't won. We just survived." He leaned forward. "And next time you decide to start a war with the Deathworld's apex species, remember this moment." He cut the transmission. Then he gave the order. The Retribution's spinal lance fired once. The Eternal Light became a brief, beautiful star. Somewhere in the dark, a new message began to propagate across the galaxy, carried by every derelict alien ship, every probe, every relay the humans could hack. It was short. It was in every language the Concordance had ever used. "We are the humans of Soul. We do not start wars, but we finish them." And for the first time in 10 million years, the galaxy learned what fear felt like. The end.